not move?
No. Tonight, I wanted to see if I get smacked in the face or not. Because tonight's about, bad people in gaming and stuff, and I figured why not see if Evie could bully me by hitting me in the face.
I didn't.
You came pretty close.
Well, I always come
As
close.
every week you do. Got some folks in the house already. That's cool. I'm Judge James.
I'm Judge Evie.
This is Living for Crits in the basement of the
Walls
less than super legendary.
Huh?
What?
Why is it less than super legendary?
I don't know. We had like 100 people watching this. That's about it.
But then why is it less than super legendary?
Because it's not super legendary. It's just partially legendary.
But it's
It's
not.
a legend to the 5 people watching us right now live.
That's not true. It's really legendary.
It's not that legendary.
Yeah, it is.
It's not really a legend.
Well, I don't think
It's like
one out of the world.
It's like a regional.
Do you think anyone else in this world's got a Walls Dungeon Tavern?
No.
Exactly. It means we're legendary. We're one of a kind.
Unique, perhaps.
Unique.
Legendary.
One of a kind.
Very questionable.
Pretty legendary, right there.
Lex says legendary. Lex is
Legendary.
on. Shannon's on. Greg's on.
Woo!
That means it's a show.
It's a show.
And tonight's a pretty cool topic. It's pretty serious. All about dealing with jerks and trolls at your gaming table. And
Ladies.
we're probably going to get kind of nasty tonight.
You deserve it.
They do. And if you are a jerk or a troll and you
Move
torment
along.
other gamers at the table, you're not going to like this show.
Nope.
And if you want to troll us in the comments below on
Do it.
YouTube, I guess do it because you're a small person and you got to take it out somewhere, right? But we can take it.
Yeah, we don't.
So there we go. All right, news for the week. Not much. I spent 3 days in quarantine in a bedroom. That was fun.
Why'd you say quarantine again?
Because I was in quarantine.
No, it's quarantine.
It's quarantine?
Quarantine.
It's not quarantine. It's quarantine.
Quarantine. Like core, like C-O-R.
It is not.
Yeah, it's not quarantine.
It's quarantine.
Quarantine.
I was quarantined for 3 days
You were
because of a
quarantined.
possible exposure to coronavirus. And I didn't have the exposure because the person that we thought had it didn't have it. So I'm out of quarantine.
Quarantine.
So that's good. But if you ever spent 3 days in a room, it was like being in a hotel, but you can't leave because you're waiting for Jen to bring you food. And then she forgets about you because she's doing customer service stuff for a game company. So
Hey, but we Discord called you.
this is true. And
And you hung up on us a lot.
a lot of Dragon Age this week. I was reading my Dragon Age novels. I'm on to the second Dragon Age novel right now. I think it's called The Calling, and it's pretty cool. And I was playing Dragon Age Inquisition. So you guys all brought me my Xbox. Rob spent 10 days in the basement for his COVID experience. That sucks. I guess you're saying I shouldn't complain about 3 days. But I'm gonna. Because that's just how I roll. Rob's also jumped into making comments about jerks at the gaming table, saying he calls them out. If they don't get the right result, they don't get invited back. That's a good policy, and we're going to go into some other policies we thought up, and you're going to have the more sane, logical take that's well thought out and show noted properly, and then you're going to have this one and whatever they
You
think
read
of.
your show notes to me, and yeah.
Let's start with Judge Evie Presides.
Evie presides. Wow.
As you may or may not know, if you want to have a question read by Judge Evie poorly on the air, just send it to dccjudgeevie@gmail.com. I'm just trying to...
It's not poorly.
I'm enacting the bullying just to show what that looks like.
Oh.
Where's our tea?
I don't know. I wonder where our tea is.
All right, go ahead. I got my polar
Okay,
seltzer.
so this question is called Question for the Crits. Are we the Crits? Is that what we should call people, the Crits?
No, it's for us.
But, like, do we call, like, our fans the Crits?
No, our fans are called, like, they watch the show.
Jabronis.
I don't know if they're fans. Bronies?
No, jabronis.
Crit bronies?
No, jabronis.
Anything with brony on it just sounds like you're a brony.
Jabronis.
Read the story. Read it. Read it.
Okay, what accent should I do?
Critters.
What accent should I do?
You know what? I think that tonight you should do a Victorian British accent for this.
So like this? Is this
Sure.
Victorian?
Sure, go
I'm
for it.
British.
Do it.
Aloha, Judge Evie and Judge James. Absolutely love your show and love to see a family playing games together. I'm new to DCC and trying to get my 11-year-old son to get excited about it. He's played D&D 5e exclusively. Ugh. What would you say to a 6th grader to get him interested about DCC? Cheers, Brian.
Well, Brian, thanks for writing in. And I have 2 ideas to this. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. I'd say there's 2 things to do. First off, D&D 5e doesn't have its own nunchucks.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the official
Get him
DCC
some
nunchucks. I think you get your kid some nunchucks.
Oh, gosh. No, stop it.
I didn't hit you.
Yeah, you did. You hit me.
I did not hit you.
Yeah, you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Where? On your leg?
Stop it.
They're foam.
Open the back. That's exactly what you tell Cooper not to do, and then you
But
go
they're
do
foam.
it. They're hard inside.
Like your soul.
That doesn't make sense.
Get your kid nunchucks. The second thing is...
I'm so loud.
Second thing is, show him this book and tell him he should read it because
That's gonna make anyone walk away. Here's a humongous book. Go read it.
In all seriousness, I would just start playing the game with your 11-year-old kiddo and let him enjoy the awesomeness that is DCC. Give him 4 characters in a funnel and let him just see how they get horribly murdered. It's going to be kind of a hard shift from 5e a little bit because characters in DCC obviously aren't super powered. So, I mean, there's that.
You can have the book back.
I got the book out because I was going to say you should read the book, read the stuff on the back like a prayer. Like, remember how I used to do that? Like I'm no hero, I'm an adventurer, a reaver, a cut purse, a heathen slayer, a tight-lipped warlock, guarding long dead secrets. I seek gold and glory, winning it with sword and spell, caked in the blood and filth of the weak, the dark, the demons and the vanquished. There are treasures to be won deep underneath, and I shall have them. I have this written out somewhere, like as a quote.
You were gonna have me write in calligraphy.
I know, and you never did.
Yeah.
I also want the Crom prayer written out in calligraphy.
Yeah.
But you never did that for me.
I don't have the right thing to do it.
Maybe the best thing is to not give your kid the nunchucks and just run the game. And to
I
get
mean,
them
no,
excited,
the nunchucks would help.
get your kid the nunchucks. Wait, let me see them.
No.
And then...
I mean, I'll take them.
Okay. Just don't mess up, like, this stuff's coming off a little bit.
Yeah, because you're hitting people with them.
Maybe I do. Don't hit me with them. I didn't hit you with them.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
You did.
Where did I hit you?
My leg.
That doesn't count. All right, good question, though.
So if we're going by that logic, and someone breaks their leg and goes to the doctors, I broke my leg, does it count? It's your leg.
No.
Yeah.
Legs grow back. Put that back. Hang it back up. What? Good question. Again, I think the most serious answer truly is if you're excited about it, they'll be excited about it. That's just how kids work. Because they're kids, right? I mean...
11's not that young.
It's pretty young.
Eh.
You were GMing No Thank You Evil at 11.
No, I was doing DCC at 11.
Were you?
Yeah, I was doing No Thank You Evil when I was 9.
Well, there you go. Okay, again, we're going to move on here to our topic for tonight, jerks and trolls. And our topic focuses on dealing with these individuals...
This lighting is... We gotta make this darker. ...
at the game table. Because it's pretty challenging to deal with them online. What is this doing?
Yeah, I'm trying... Look how
Are you casting a spell?
We are overexposed.
Well, I can't hear. Hold on. I will dispose us.
Yeah.
You know what? Before we talk about jerks and trolls online, let's talk about tea.
Tea.
I think there's tea coming. Hey! Man, this is the best part of the show. This is part of the show where my wife brings us tea.
Time.
What do we got?
What kind of tea is
What do
it?
we got?
Tea.
They gotta take it.
What
You gotta
kind of
take
tea?
it.
Oh, I got regular tea.
plain
Oh, that's
What?
great.
What?
Just plain tea.
Just plain tea tonight.
Here, we can model it. It looks like this, guys.
There we go. Just some tea. I got a fancy Dutch Wonderland cup.
I got a Hamilton mug. Wait.
Man.
Let's show Lynn. Wait.
Nothing says
Huh?
talking about jerks and trolls like drinking hot tea. I don't know what that means. Anyway, we're going to focus tonight on the table and the parts of our world we can control. Because obviously we cannot control the internet. I still don't have a good answer for how to deal with jerks and trolls in the rest of the world. But we can control our table. What's up, Troy?
What's up?
All right, so I do want to say and preface that it is the responsibility of all gamers who are comfortable to call this crap out. To do it. This is everyone's problem.
Call those jabronis out.
I know I am speaking from a very sizable position of privilege in that I am a dude. I'm white. I'm like in my 40s. I've been gaming for a long time. And I'm pretty vocal, and I'm comfortable talking out. So I need to be vocal about this. Because even if some of these things are going to apply to me right now, it doesn't mean that they haven't in the past. I was very bullied as a gamer, as a young gamer, when I was in middle school, and was in some pretty toxic games even through college. Or post-college. Not in college, really. So that said, everyone can be faced with these challenges. And the other thing I want to say here is that we're going to cover this topic from a few... who's Bren for life?
That's Brendan.
We miss you in MC.
It's Minecraft.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Have
going
fun with Eli.
cover this in the different directions. But we are, despite what was kind of asked and commented online, we are not commenting it like from multiple sides. So we're covering tonight bullies, bigots, sexists, racists, harassers, and gatekeepers.
Yep.
None of which are worthwhile to discuss from another side. Like, I don't know how you get on the other side of bullying.
Honestly.
Or how you get on the other side of harassment or gatekeeping. There is no good way to get on the other side of that and have a logical, argument. At least I don't think that there is. And if you think that there is... oh, well.
Oh, boy. Your loss. Okay.
What I'm not going to cover, we're not going to cover tonight, at least not in depth, is cheaters, rules lawyers. So I asked a question this week on Twitter of some suggestions, and some were cheaters, rules lawyers, spotlight hogs, power gamers, and addition warriors. And we're not going to cover them because those are a pain in the ass, but they're not exactly like thoroughly toxic. I mean, power gamers can be problematic. And true, some of these can blossom into larger issues, like power gamers and rules lawyers can become bullies. But not every power gamer is a bully. So, you know what a power gamer is?
Yeah, we talked about them last week.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So you remembered.
Yes.
You've been educated in the power gamers.
I've been educated.
I think future shows, we might talk about some of this. I do think we need to come clean here about the addition warrior stuff because we can sometimes come across as mean towards the poor 5e community.
Yep.
That are, targeted for many things.
The people can be cool. The people are cool. We just don't like the game.
Which is interesting because next week I have a topic we're going to talk about later on that's going to be interesting.
Are you talking about is it the topic like about Ivy and amazingness of it?
No, it's not about that at all.
Oh.
Don't worry about that. I'm not going to have that show. Oh my gosh. All right. So we're going to come at each of these, okay? And this is sort of the way we're going to go. I'm going to bring up the type of toxic gamer and a quick listing of what they are and what they do. A GM's perspective on how to deal with them, a player's perspective on how to deal with them, and then a Judge Evie's perspective on how to deal with them.
Hi.
And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start with bullies, okay? So we know what a bully is, right? I mean, they can start out as rules lawyers or power gamers or spotlight hogs, but they evolve into something far worse. They're there to put other players down. They're there to make the fun all about themselves, and they want to make the story about themselves, and they will, actively discourage other players at the table from taking part in the game. And this can be a real problem because, a lot of gamers or folks that come to the hobby, sometimes they come from, I'm an extrovert. There are introverts in our hobby that may be a bit more quiet, and if this is their first game and they come into a toxic environment where someone is putting them down, that's crap. That's no, it's not. And, I think bullies tend to push out, like gatekeepers, which we'll get to in a second, they tend to push good gamers or potential good gamers out of the hobby. So from a GM's perspective, if you're at the table and you witness bullying, you need to stamp this out quickly, and you need to shift the focus to the players that potentially are the focus of the bully. If the bully is there and is targeting someone, stop giving the bully time at the table and focus on the players that are being called out. I've done this before especially at kid games, but tell the bully to leave the table or step away for a few moments. Put the bully on timeout. If they're a grown-up or a teen, oh wow. Put them on a timeout and send them away for a couple minutes and say, look, you're taking this too far. I want you to take a break. Go get a coffee. Go get a soda. Step away, okay? Because you're making everyone uncomfortable, and you can see you're making you uncomfortable as a GM, even if you aren't being directly affected. It's affecting your game. And again, you're the GM. You control a lot that happens at the table. Consider giving this person the opportunity to apologize and come back. If they thought this was happening in character and they took it too far, you need to correct them and explain to them the collaborative nature of the game. As a player, sometimes a bully just needs to be punched in the nose, although not literally. Call them out at the table. If someone's putting you down at the table with a player, or put you down at the table as a player, call them out right there, and say it vocally. And then, maybe other players will stand up with you. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this, or maybe you are a bit more introverted, talk to your GM afterwards. And like everything we're going to say here, if no one responds to you, find another group. Life's too short to play with crappy gamers. I do want to point out that Greg here made a comment, if it's a bigger problem, if you live somewhere with a small pool of gamers, one or two jerks can turn everyone off. This is why online is a good possibility. Judge Evie, what would you say about bullies?
Well, should I give my answer, what I would do?
Yeah, give your answer.
Okay, so first thing you could do is you could keep it, if they think it's in character, right? You could do a thing where something happens to their character and they have to just straight up leave the table for 5 minutes because they can't know about what's happening, that whole thing. And then while they're gone, you can pretend to talk to your group, right? You'd be like, yo guys, I'm talking about the game, and the other just gonna think you're talking about the game, right? But you're like, yo, I'm gonna go talk to that jabroni and I'm gonna get him off your backs or whatever. And so you're like, yeah, but use your acting skills to make it look like we're talking about the game. And they're like, okay, then they start mapping out a plan. But then you go talk to the other dude, and he thinks, or they think that you're talking about the game. But when you go over to them, you're like, yo, stop it. You're being a not nice person. And then they'll give you your reason, and then you do that. But that way that no one knows. And the dude doesn't know that they know. But then they know that he knows.
I think it's just sound advice.
It's great advice.
It's good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to
Made
some
very much sense.
Real nasty, shady characters. And I don't mean to lump all these together, but it is a short show. So I'm lumping together for a moment bigots, sexists, and racists, which is pretty damn evil, and so this can start as a player thinking they're in character. Someone who maybe believes that they're calling out orcs, and to be lesser people, which okay. I understand that for a long period of time they were considered a monstrous race, monstrous species, monstrous ancestry. I get it. But where this can be a problem is when you get into more historical role-playing games. And it was a problem in the time period that you're dealing with. And the thing is that dealing with this, even a historical standpoint, it really requires a lot of buy-in and, consent from the rest of the players at the table, which, we're going to deal with that here in a moment as one of our tools. Our consent tool, something from Monty Cook Games. That's a really great tool if you're going to introduce some kind of historical angle. For GMs, you have to be alert for this kind of conversation at the table. If a player's pushing the envelope and it has no place at the table, just declare their action void, invalid, explain to them at the table, in front of everyone if you need to, why it has no place, why what they said was wrong, and as always, if they continue to push this, ask them to leave. As a player, you can either openly challenge at the table or notify your GM. You can text your GM. This is one of the few times you might want to text your GM. You could always X-card this if you have an X-card system. We've used an X-card system for Shadow of the Demon Lord, where essentially if a player was uncomfortable with scene, they could put the card up and just say, hey, this is a bit too far for me. You could have that system here, but you do want to have a conversation afterwards. And it wasn't because you were uncomfortable for any reason that you're not mature for the subject, but possibly because what the person's saying was really in poor spirits and inappropriate for a game. Again, even in historical settings where this sort of thing was done contemporary to that time, some of the racism and sexism, like in Victorian England, for instance, or Victorian world in general. Deadlands is a setting that really has a lot of possibility for this. Even in these instances, you have to have consent of the players ahead of time if you're going to explore these weird anachronisms. It's not an anachronism. That's the wrong word. But these things that happened in previous ages but are not contemporary to our time. I do want to note, I've been really careful to talk about this in-game because, seriously, if the person at your table is a bigot, sexist, or racist, kick the asshole out of your game.
Yeah.
Just don't have them there.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be even exploring it from a player standpoint in a game where I could see that it happened in a time period in that the person really maybe took something too far. It's another thing, and even that's really questionable and really pushing it here. But if the person literally is going out of the way to make people of another gender uncomfortable at your table, I mean, screw that. Just, that's you call out heads up. And if you're a GM, you really, really, really need to be on top of that. And that goes for anyone who's about, making fun of other genders, making fun of people's ethnicities, making fun of people's sexualities, whatever. Bringing anything in that shouldn't be brought in, it has no place.
Just kick them.
Judge Evie, just kick them? We don't want to promote physical violence here.
Well, that's not physical. Don't actually kick them. No, kick them out of your game.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Don't walk up to them and go, yeah, take that.
No, there's
don't
no
do that.
sweeping of the leg here.
No, there's none of that. No, but what you should do is you should call them out in front of everybody if you're the GM, because if you get called out, like in front of people, that makes you, 1, look bad. 2, no one likes that. 3, that makes you feel super uncomfortable. And so that makes them not want to do it again, because then they'll get called out again.
I do want to say that personally, I am a proponent of calling people out publicly if at the gaming table, especially in a scene with people that are uncomfortable. If I'm the GM, which most of the time I am, and this happens very, 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 very rarely, only in con scenes, but the last thing I want, the more silent I am about the topic as a GM or judge or DM, the more people around at a convention scene might see it as appropriate. And, GMs do have a position of authority in some ways. We have some comments here. Savage Rob says, no room at my game for that nonsense. That's awesome to hear. Shannon says, Yuns think that jabroni is whack, dog. Shannon also says fantasy games do not need these dark real-world topics even as part of the setting. At worst, these things might be fade to black type moments, but avoiding them just best all around. So, I this is where even in the real world, even in the real world settings, I think that it can be a challenge if you to explore any of that. If you're playing a World War II setting and someone wants to play a female character, find a way to let them play a female character. Don't say, if you're trying to be really historically accurate, there is a way to get them in the battlefield. Or honestly, just give them a helmet and don't make a big deal out of it. In fantasy games, I will say I'm playing Dragon Age and right now in the video game, and I'm looking at the role playing game a bit, and there are some, there are different ancestries in the game. The elves in that game are very, have been previously enslaved, and they have a history about being mistreated by humans of the world and by another empire. And it's one thing to explore that at the table, but the player of the elf might just want to play an elf and not play that, which is why if that's at all going to be a topic, you need to consider discussing consent. So, all right, I think that was a good one there. A good one, obviously, but it was a good discussion there. Yeah. Let's move on to something that's a bit more... Oh, Will Keller's on. Showing up late is bad, wrong, fun. Better late than never. We're going to use that term in a second here. All right. We're going to step this up a bit here. We're going to kind of an up and then back down. We're going to go to harassers. And this is similar to bullying, but I feel like harassment evolves to a world beyond the game table. That harassment follows the players to the personal. It's where one player or a GM follows another player or GM into the personal world, into the social world, the real life, and goes after them. Players and GMs may take part in these negative interactions with other players or GMs that start at the table and move into the real world, calling, texting, posting on social media, being very negative. And it doesn't have to be all negative. They could do a wave of, oh, I'm your best friend. Here's why I hate you, and here's why I'm going to make fun of you. And, oh, look at this. I like this game this week, but this game sucked because of blah. Or if you delve into, sexual harassment, trying to, of someone that, perhaps you're targeting them or their character based on something happened in the game that was... of a romantic nature, and they didn't perceive it that way, and you push it too far. I know that I have been at tables where there has been it's been quite some time, but there has been really negative interactions with people of the opposite gender at the table. It's not appropriate if, in any way, shape, or form. It was bordering on gatekeeping as well. But that kind of interaction just makes people uncomfortable and gives the table, the game, the hobby a bad name. What is it here? Greg said, particularly important if you have an all-male white gaming group. I was older, I'm sorry. So, which is also true. Anyway, harassment can be open. It can be private. It can be, what do you mean my gatekeeping? Did I say something about his gatekeeping? I don't think I did.
I think he's meant by.
Oh, gatekeeping? I'll get into that in a second. Okay. So anyway, from a GM's perspective, because it's really hard. I'm trying to find... There's no good way to discuss harassment as, I'm trying to make sure I'm finding ways in these to engage with the harasser or engage with the person following one's activities and keeping at the table. But harassment really pushes this to the boundary of get the jerk away from you. So as a GM, you need to be alert and aware of any negative interactions that are occurring in anywhere where, one gamer who's performing the harassment, where harassment could occur. And one place that can happen is in social media sites where you share a space with the rest of your group. So if you see that one player is tormenting another player in a Discord server or a Facebook group, that can be where harassment's taking place, and you need to step up quickly and smash that out. And then the other thing is, as a player, know when to say no, and be clear about it. If you feel like this harassment is, know your rights. If you feel like the harassment is starting to, hit the boundary of someone really stalking you or threatening you harm, you need to contact the authorities, get screenshots of what's been said, call that person out, and let someone know. Make sure they know. This is one of those punch in the nose things. Let them know you're serious, you don't appreciate it, and by the way, you have rights as well. And then tell your gaming group, tell your friends, tell your GM, and if there's at all any kind of thought that this person would still be at the table or allowed at the table afterwards, leave the friggin' group. Just get out of there, because again, it's not worth it. Shannon says, people like that don't deserve to play with other decent people. They should be called out. They should be labeled as such and shunned by other groups. And I agree. The sad thing is they're going to find other groups, and I know going to cons, I've had people at my table that would never went back again, and I'll see them in other groups or other games. And it's like, damn, and sometimes having a good time, So anyway, that's harassers. About as, I don't want to say the most toxic, and harassment can be linked to bullying, sexism, racism. It can be linked to all things. I feel like harassment is when you take things into the real world, though. And again, I'm not in any ways an expert in any of this, so if you feel like any of my terminology needs to be tweaked or changed, or I'm not calling something out correctly, please leave a comment below and expand upon it, and let me know, because I want to make sure that I'm addressing this correctly. Judge Evie, on harassers, what's your take?
Okay. First thing.
More beatings.
What?
You said kicking someone earlier, so.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
No, don't do that.
Go ahead.
Okay. What you should do with this one is, if you're in the group chat, right? So let's say it's on Discord, right? And you made the group chat because they're the GM, right? You should just kick them out. You can just ban people from the Discord.
Yep.
Or you could block them, or you should block them, so then they can't actually get to talk to you. So if it's over text, you just block them.
Do you think it's at all worth a conversation before you do that? Just go straight to the block.
Well, no. This is if it's over text.
Okay.
I mean, you could text them, but if they're relentless, just block them. Don't give them.
You mean if you're one being harassed? You mean?
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's that. And if they are at your table, yeah, just kick them out. Just kick them out. But don't kick them. Just say yo, or wait till it's halfway through the game, and so
wait till it's halfway through. What do you
recall your break, right? But make your break seem like it's the end of the game. But just don't tell that person that it's not actually the end of the game. So they peace out, and the other people still play.
The risk with that is the person comes back. This is one of those places where I think you do have to be honest to tell the person.
True.
I especially as someone who's vocal, if you're comfortable being vocal, then you need to call them out.
Yeah, do that.
I think the crux of this is, if you are comfortable being vocal, call the person out publicly at the table to their face. Because you may have the support of other players or even the GM there. If you're not comfortable, that's you have to take it to the GM.
I have another idea.
We'll mention the other idea.
Okay. So let's
this
say
is the time to do it. This is living for Chris.
uncomfortable at the table, right?
Okay.
So before your game, you should give everybody a code word that they could say.
Like a.
Yeah, but don't make it the same one, because then the person that's making fun will know that there's someone said a code word.
Okay.
So you can give everyone your own code word.
I mean, an X card would work well for this.
Yeah, but then the person, if they didn't want the person knowing that they were uncomfortable.
Gotcha.
Say they didn't want to call the person out.
Okay.
But they wanted to let you know, but you're in the middle of a game.
Maybe
so you could just include the word banana into your sentence.
Maybe something where there's a word, or it could be the X card or something else, where to stop the game and take everyone aside.
Yeah.
and see what the challenge was?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to wrap with Gatekeepers. This sort of starts to take us into the online space a bit. These are the folks that tell you why the hobby or game isn't for you, or are trying to protect the hobby from you or from other players. Or they're encountered online often, but they can drift to a table, making remarks, testing knowledge, taunting you when it's your turn if you aren't fast enough to react. This would be someone. I remember my very first. I was running Savage Worlds at my first Gen Con, and I remember that a table of veteran players sit down. I had never run Savage Worlds at a table. All these at a convention. All these players were very, very ardent Savage Worlds fans, and they told me how they made the life a living hell for the last GM who ran Savage Worlds for them, because they didn't do a good job. And that they were going to test me and see how I did. That's sort of the feel that I got from that conversation. They were pretty active at giving the last person a bad time. But now here I am. I've been running this game for about 2 years. Have run maybe 30 sessions of it. And was excited to run this adventure I had written. And now I am nervous about running the adventure. I had a good time. They had a good time. There was some testing. There was some rules lawyering. This is one of those places where I feel like power gamers and spotlight hogs and power gamers tend to drift into, min-maxers tend to drift into bullying, and rules lawyers can drift, in addition warriors can drift into gatekeeping. So what a gatekeeper is there to do essentially is they're to test you. See if you belong at that table. If it's a Pathfinder game, where's your core book at? Where's the right dice with you? Well, you have 3d6. What are you, just playing Fantasy Age or Dragon Age or whatever? I don't know if they would ever say that, if they would ever say that like in Pathfinder or whatnot. But it's the person there to make sure that you're the right kind of person to be playing and enjoying that game. And they could be trying to veto you for all things. This is where that fake geek girl test thing comes up to say if, are you really a fan or are you just like a hanger-on because you're here with a boyfriend or something like that, So
we do not stand those people.
We do not.
We do not stand.
So, as a GM, if you see someone trying to gatekeep at your table, you need to be a coach for the players that are newer. This is often happening with veterans and novices at the table. Celebrate the victories of the newer player and call out any kind of gatekeeping for discouraging the growth of the player base. For this hobby to survive, we need to be bringing in more people, not pushing out people. The point is, as a player, you belong at the table so long as you're comfortable. Because once you're not comfortable, then you don't belong there. And I don't mean you don't belong there because you don't belong there. I mean because it's not welcome for you. So, don't force yourself into being there. At the point of being uncomfortable, that's when you define another group. And the reality is, for all of this, that's the case. Gatekeeping is a very big online problem, but there are folks out there that are looking to bring in more people into the hobby, and you just have to link up with them. Gatekeeping, Judge Evie, your thoughts?
You only ever asked me when I'm sipping tea.
Well, have one more sip.
I will.
What do you think, Evie?
So, what you should do? Another circumstance. Gatekeeping, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Kick them.
No, don't kick them. You're not supposed to actually kick people.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
Didn't mean to say that. Anyway, so if I'll give scenarios. What was he gonna say? I had a whole thing planned
Talking
out.
about gatekeeping.
I had a whole thing planned out. I was gonna say something.
I have some scenarios. That's the first one. Silence.
Okay. What you could do is, there's two different ways here. So depending on how they say it, if they're like, well, where's your like rule book, right? And you see they don't actually have a rule book themselves, you could just spin it back. But that would be mean. But you could be like, I don't know, where's your rule book? And then they'll be like, oh, I don't know. And then it'll hopefully just die out there. Because then you're like, even. Get it?
I get it.
Yeah, so that could work. That probably wouldn't work if you're like, not like 15. Because, yeah, doesn't usually work. I've tried it before.
15?
Yeah, I've tried it before on people. Like at this one game I was at, they were like, do you have the right dice? Like, are you ready? And I was like, then I saw they didn't have the right dice, so I were like, do you have the right dice? They were like, what? Yeah. They ended up leaving my table halfway through the game and just left. But, moving on through my topic here. So that's the first thing you could do. One.
2.
2. If they are like persistent and are like doing that thing where they're like just like do the thingy that they like try to mess you up. That one.
That thingy.
Mhm. If they're trying to like mess you up and they're like relentless, then you could also just call them out again, just like in front of their face, and you could just, I don't know, you could turn it into a game, right? And you could like put into the game or like stop the game, but don't actually stop the game, so make it in game where you have like a contest.
I think a good point for you and you're trying to say here is, and maybe in a very long-winded way, as a younger judge yourself, when you run a con game, you could run into people that are trying to rules lawyer you to test your knowledge of the game, to see if you belong at the judge's table seat, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you just say, I'm running the game, and we're going to have a good time, or else.
That's what I meant to say.
There you go. Anyway, the long and short of it is, it really is the GM's responsibility to look out for this at the table. I mean, I know that GMs are to play and have a good time too, but, getting behind the screen does bring some responsibility. And for everything we discussed, a good GM should be looking out for that and make sure everyone's having a good time. Judge Forrest is on and says, sorry, got on late. Did you address that you can do as a player when another player is being exclusive, a gatekeeper, or a jerk? Yes, Judge Evie says to kick them physically.
No, I didn't say that.
We did discuss
I did not say to kick them. Do not kick them.
In multiple ways. All right, we have some tools to talk about here. The first thing is, there is a wonderful PDF by Monte Cook Games. It's free. It's called Consent in Gaming. It was something that came out around the time of Your Best Game Ever, and it is a discussion and an exploration of how to give your players a voice pre-campaign about what they would or wouldn't want to see in a game. It's interesting. I know that whenever I see that PDF circulate, there are always particular asshats out there that will speak negatively about that document, Consent in Gaming. And in general, if I see that someone will troll on that, that's someone I don't want at my table. So if you want to find out that if your players are going to be a jerk or not, get the consent in gaming form out, distribute it to your players beforehand, and if they give you any crap about it, chances are that that's because they feel like they're going to be restricted from being
a jerk,
an asshole, or a jerk.
Jerkhole.
Another thing you could do, tool if you will, is have regular player check-ins. If this is a campaign, take some time to text message or direct message your fellow gamers at the table, see how they're doing. If you're a GM especially, how are they doing? Are they comfortable with the way the direction the game is going? Anything like that, that is also a positive. Rob says, just remember the GM should have a good time as well. If you are not, you need to examine if there are some of the above things going on. Absolutely. A GM can be bullied, can be the target of bigotry, sexism, or racism, can be harassed, and can be called out for by gatekeepers. So totally true. So absolutely good point, Rob. One more tool that a player or a GM could use is to have a wingman, and if you are less vocal or less comfortable being vocal at a table, especially something that a new game, if you're going with a friend, discuss what you're concerned about with your friend ahead of time if you're not comfortable discussing it with the GM. This is particularly good for convention games. If your friend is more outspoken than you are and they will be a champion for you, that's not a bad thing, especially if you're not going to come back to this table anyway, but someone looking out for you. So if there are any other ideas of ways to combat this, again, we aren't the be-all, end-all of this. There are some great communities out there. I have to say I've been a part of some pretty toxic gaming communities in the past, and my gaming over the years has sort of funneled me towards the better communities. I do find that the group sort of surrounding Dungeon Crawl Classics is a wonderful gaming community. That's the reason that we are as involved as we are with Goodman Games and with DCC. A lot of the DCC verse is super positive and super, for a game about murdering all player characters, essentially. It is a very safe gaming situation, and we've found very inclusive and open and just a really good group. Something where they've embraced a younger GM at the tables and look out for her when we have the events. That we've had with the conventions. So I'm super proud of part of the community. Monty Cook Games, awesome company. They have at their space at conventions, they take it very seriously about what games are being run, what adventures are being run, and making sure there's always. Is Ridley down here?
Yeah, he is.
Is he snoring?
Yeah, he's way back in the corner.
Ridley, why are you over here?
He's asleep.
Anyway, Monty Cook Games cons scenes Monty Cook Games con scene is awesome, and in general they have a really positive, upbeat atmosphere in their games. This dog snoring's killing me. Another possibility is create your own awesome positive game community, whether it's through Discord, whether it's through a Facebook group. Find other like-minded gamers who like to play the games you play, and gather them together if you can. Bad communities, they're everywhere, and I think this leads into the next thing we're going to talk about for next week. And I think next week we're going to cover a topic, and I'm using a term that I got from Will, and I'm going to call us out on this a bit, because I think that change has to start from within. And next week we're going to be covering bad wrong fun.
What's that?
Bad wrong fun is the gamers, the RPGers' tendency that whenever they hear about a game they don't play, they instantly go into why they hate it. And we do it with 5e.
Yeah, we do.
And it does seem to happen with anything discussed. So anymore, I'm trying to be more positive and open and pleasant about gaming. And I have conversations online, and it's like, this is why I don't like this game you play. This is why I don't like this game you play. We really do, as a community, need to talk more about what we like about games rather than what we don't like about games. My wife, so Jennifer, was talking to me on our walk tonight about, that with the habit is we might find more similarities. And it's if you're trying to convince someone to play a game that you like, it might be better to cling to what your game does well rather than why their game is lacking something. So for Dungeon Crawl Classics, for instance, if you talk up the fact that that the game has a really quick to learn rules system and a really fun swingy table,
and the dice thing.
The dice are wonky. Mm-hmm. Anything can happen because the game is such a variance of crazy tables and all kinds of stuff, and that so much of the game is on the fly. discuss that rather than, well, you should play DCC because you know what? Its roots are old school and those games are better because all this new fancy-pantsy stuff about players and, getting away from 3D6 in order and all that crap, that's garbage and that's just, that's newfangled crap. And again, I think in some ways, Judge Evie and I have discussed that. Some of it is a bit of a show and we do maybe expand upon it in ways that are a bit further than just for shock value on the show. I mean, for all the times I've been joking about 3D6 in order, I play a lot of Cypher System. That's totally point buy and building your characters, But I found that the snark was fun. We're gonna back off this snark on next week's episode a little bit, and just talk about this. I think it is a problem with all of society.
Yeah.
If I go online and I say, I like X, I got more people tell me why they don't like X than people to tell me why they like X as well. It's never, I like...
X?
Pick something.
What's X?
What's something you
X
like?
Isn't a game?
No. Pick something you like.
My Little Pony.
Okay. Well, if you... Really? Is that controversial?
Yeah, a lot of people hate it. It's so sad.
You like Riverdale, right?
Yeah.
How many times you see like Riverdale, people tell you, I hate Riverdale?
A lot.
Okay?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, I think we really do need to do better. I think if anything's come out of this convention... this convention. Yeah, this Corona convention.
Corona, yeah.
If anything's come out... Hold on, I'm going to make a note here. This is my new be positive note. Be positive. Look at that. We're going to see more upbeat. Make a note for next week's show notes. If anything is come out of the coronavirus, it's that more of us really do need to be nice to each other and kind to each other. We need more of that in the world.
Yes.
Rob hit the nail on the head. Lift up rather than punch down. That
or
is
kick down.
Absolutely true. So anyway, that's next week. All right, Kickstarter shout-outs. If you love Weird Dice and you want Weird Dice, there is right now the Snow Cone and Sunday DCC and RPG dice sets by Impact Miniatures. Get in on your DCC dice now. But you know what? If you like the designs and you don't want DCC dice, maybe you just want dice for your D&D 5e game, or maybe you just want some 3D6s because you play Fantasy Age. You can get your dice through this Kickstarter. There's a whole bunch of different sets, so go check them out. I'll put the link to that in the notes. Their Road Crew shoutouts next weekend, Bride of Cyclops Con. So we'll have a special Bride of Cyclops Con shirt or show. So maybe we have to do the whole thing about be positive. No, we'll discuss it next week.
Okay.
All right. Our show next week will be during all of that, so that's gonna be cool. Sign up now. Again, the events start on the 16th, so it's Friday. It's coming close. Featured organizations for good. I got 2 this week, and I'm really interested to hear about more gamers running for public office. And I am so super proud that 2 of my friends that I've rolled dice with are running for office right now. My longtime friend Bill Saxton, who I grew up with like in elementary school and stuff, is running for the 73rd State House District in Michigan. So he is billinthehouse.com. And then my dear friend David Wilson Brown, who I've done a lot of Numenera stuff with, he actually, he helped get and kickstart the Adventures in the Eastmark English translation that came over back in 2003 or 2004. So I played Eastmark with him. He is running for the 5th District in North Carolina for the house down there. So he's DWB for Congress, the number 4, .com. So I'm going to put links to both their campaigns. I have contributed to both of their campaigns, so I'm not asking you to do something I have not done. So I actually contributed to a lot of campaigns this weekend. So I was out there this weekend throwing money towards the blue, and I'm proud to note these two folks. If you happen to know of any other geek gamers out there that are running for office, please let me know, and I would love to share more information about them.
Send it to dccjudgeevie@gmail.com.
Absolutely. So,
Because I only get like one email a week, and it's really sad to look at. I only have one email.
so long as not a Trump supporter.
Yeah!
All right, so moving on, where can our friends find us?
You can find us at I Live for Crits on Twitter, Living for Crits on Instagram, even though there's nothing ever on there, and search Living for Crits on YouTube.
All right, so stay safe, stay healthy, stay together.
Oh no, what am I going to say?
And I'm going to say, because of all the Dragon Age, in war, victory, in peace, vigilance, in death, sacrifice.
I don't know what that means. So I'm just going to go, My Little Pony, My Little Pony, ah, My Little Pony. I used to wonder what friendship could be. I won't sing the whole song.
Good night,
Night.
everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.